Are we recording? Did it record?
I did not get the notice.
I did not either. Now. And now we're recording. All right, everybody. Welcome to the next Create Better Content workshop series. This is a good one today. So settle in. And I'm glad Kate is with me here today so I don't have to call her out because apparently she heard I did that last month. Actually, wasn't there last month. Oh, because last month I just want to let you guys know, thank you so much for your patience and being okay with me rescheduling. We were okay here in the state of, I shouldn't say we, all of us. Those of us in the Orlando area were good. The storm went northwest of us and hit the Big Bend area. They got some pretty bad damage up there. So I won't say that all of us are okay, but I appreciate all of your patience and the messaging that I got over the time when the storm had come through. So thank you so much, everybody, for checking on me and for being okay with me rescheduling, which means we're going to have 2 of these this month, but that's okay because there's a lot going on. I have a lot going on right now, which I'm very happy to share with you all when the time is right. Okay, so today, let's jump right into this. So today we're going to be talking about goals and metrics. I want to talk about why your brain wants you to reach your goals. I've actually shared a lot of this information before, but I feel like it's really, really important to go over it again because it is very connected to what we're talking about today. And I want to talk about goals and metrics and why they matter. And then I want to get into what metrics you should be monitoring and which ones you want to track. Of course, I always want to say that there's something going on here. I still have that last space available for the co-work content shop workshop, which is next week, but I'll get more into that later. So since 2010, I've taught over 125 social media workshops at the National Entrepreneur Center. I have worked with hundreds of small business owners. I cannot believe the number of people I have worked with. I literally have lost count, which is a good thing, I guess. And I am the owner of 2 businesses. I have been a content marketing consultant for 22 plus years, and the Create Your Business program I started in 2018. So the Create Better workshops, if you have not seen all of them or you want to see something again, on my YouTube channel for Create Your Business, I actually have a playlist set up for all of the workshops. So you can see all of them. So you don't have to scroll through all of my videos. You can just go to the playlist and you will see all of the replays listed there. Next month, you're going to want to be a part of this one. We are going to talk about quarterly planning. I want to walk through the steps, the process, the strategy, and something that you could be doing for 90 days. And it's something that you can easily replicate. So you could be able to do this, for the beginning of the year and second quarter, third quarter, first quarter. So watch your inbox for the details on that. And we're going to be talking about quarterly planning at that point later on this month. So it's going to be the 27th of this month. So let's jump into this as I have a dog under my desk. Hold on a second. Okay. Why your brain wants you to reach your goals. And so for those of you who've heard this before, this is going to be great reminders. If you've never heard me talk about this before, this is going to be one of those moments where you're going to go, oh my God, that is why that's happening. Oh, that makes so much more sense to me. And it's just going to have a little bit of aha moments and some insights here to get you moving and motivated to talk some more about your goals and metrics. Because what I want to talk about is your brain. Because your brain actually wants you to emotionally, mentally, physically reach your goals. And there's so many reasons why, and I'm going to touch on that. And I think that this has a lot to do with, I know that this is where I am this year. One of the things that I have discovered this year is what I refer to as an awareness. When I started to develop more an awareness about when I start to freak out, an awareness about when I'm feeling good about something, an awareness about when an idea comes to me and this one resonates, but yet another idea comes to me and this one doesn't. it's the awareness piece of it that has made me feel very confident in how I am moving forward with my business and all of these amazing things that I will get to when I start sharing all the stuff that's going on for 2024. So when we become aware of this and we become aware of what our body is doing and what our mind is doing, what our brain is doing here, we have a greater chance of actually reaching our goals because we're not fighting it, because we understand what's going on. I see you need to let me know also if my internet's unstable because I just saw pop up. So let me know if I cut out. And not only are you not going to be fighting it, it's going to actually start working for you. So that's a really important piece here. And that's why I wanted to talk about all this today, because there's the science of the why. Why are you in business? Why are you helping people? Why are you doing what the work is that it is that you are doing? And it is so very important to start with this place that the very first box you get, the very first workbook that you get, the Create Your Business program, actually talks about why and your goals. We don't even get into social media in the first box. We talk about you and your business, because I think this is a really important place for us all to be starting. So let's talk about this here. There's this thing called the endowment effect. And the endowment effect works like this, that you get doses of dopamine, and dopamine is the neurotransmitter located back here in the back of your brain is the hypothalamus. It's really funny that if you actually were to look at a scan, your hypothalamus looks like a little small brain inside your big brain. So this is a really important piece back here, and it transmits all the chemicals that flows through your body. So the endowment effect is directly connected to the dopamine that is coming through the hypothalamus at the back of our head. And as I was saying, the whole brain is involved in this. And the decision making is coming from the prefrontal cortex. This right here, kind of that area right there on our forehead. And this prefrontal cortex area is connected to planning, decision making, problem solving. And what happens is between the both of these, the hypothalamus, the prefrontal cortex, see, you can see my whole brain is in motion here. It's connecting the neural pathways that actually goes through your brain and your body. So while these things are happening and we start thinking about our goals, we start thinking about, the plans that we want to do, what we're working on for our business, how we're going to grow our income, how we're going to grow our community, how we're going to, whatever it is that your goals are. And we're going to get real specific with some goals today. Your entire brain is actually involved in this because the hypothalamus connects to the thoughts and the prefrontal cortex is linking to the decision and the planning here. So what's going on here with the endowment effect is when you start to take ownership of your goals and the plan, that is the endowment effect. We take ownership of the why. We take ownership of, we know why we're doing this and we see it as ours. And so what happens is all these good feeling chemicals start going through our bodies because we're excited, we're happy, we feel good about it because we've taken ownership for it. And we know this is something that we want to keep doing. And when we we take possession of it, it becomes ingrained in us. And it becomes a part of who we are and who our business is. And we become more invested in these ideas and goals when we own them, because all the chemicals are moving through you and your body's going, yes, yes, I want this. Yes, 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 yes. So if we know what our why is and we take ownership of it, then the dopamine gets released into our brain and then it goes through our body and our brains become stimulated for us to reach our goals, because your brain wants to feel good. Your body wants to feel good. And so all of these things get connected. We take ownership to the goals. We know who we are. We know what our business is all about. We know what we're excited to do, the work that we do. And it just keeps flowing because your body's like, oh, please. Yes, sir. I'd like more of that. Yes, sir. I'd like more of that. And it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And that's why I say your brain really, really wants you to reach your goals because it loves having that dopamine there. It loves having this chemical reward for all of this stuff that you're going to be achieving. So I want you to think about this. And when I started this whole conversation about the awareness, think about those moments when things are going really, really good. And you're like, yes, this is exactly what I want to be doing. Yes, this is exactly the type of customer that I want to be working with. Yes, this is exactly the kind of project that I want to be doing. That is what's stimulating your brain. And that is what's encouraging you to keep moving forward to reach your goals. So we're good here. So we start out with our why and taking ownership to this. It feels good within our brain and in our body. And all of this combines together to help us with our motivation to reach our goals. And I've said this before, and I will repeat this again. And as I move through today's workshop, it's important to understand this. Because if your goals and your plan is just a checklist or like a to-do list, you are doing this wrong. You need to start with understanding your why and taking ownership of everything to ensure that your brain is helping you, not fighting the change, helping you to reach your goals. Super, super important about all this stuff. So let's get into this here. Let's talk about goals and metrics and why they matter. So the biggest thing about goals and metrics is, how do you know what you've achieved? How do you know what's going on that's working? How do you know what you need to be working on, what should be tweaking, what's not working? What do I need to be doing? How do you know? How do you make a decision when a challenge comes up if you don't have the foundation to show you the way? So we started with our why, and we understood that this is the path that we want to go on, and we pay attention to our brain and we pay attention to our body. And the only way that we know that our goals and results and the benefits we want to achieve are by paying attention to our metrics, paying attention to what's going on around us. And it gives us, I want to say a larger sense of purpose, but I want to make it clear. I understand that a lot of us, our goals are about money, but I don't want you to come from that place that it's just about the money. I just want to see if I can hit this income. I just want to make this. I want to do this. It is a factor in it, but don't let that be the only factor, because there's also the why. There's the purpose behind why you do the work that you do. And this is especially true, definitely, when it comes to social media marketing. When it comes to, why are you spending time? Why are you spending your energy focusing on this particular program, this particular platform? Why are you doing this? And it can't just be about, because I want to make a whole bunch of money. Because if that's what you're doing, this is why this is going to fail. Because we need to get into it more than that. It needs to be more than just about driving sales. Because again, as I said, if you approach it just like that, you will fail and you will struggle. So the marketing, our goals with marketing is about adding value for your customers. It's about showing up in the touch points in the customer journey. And if you don't remember the customer journey, there is a workshop in the playlist specifically about the customer journey that I did a few months ago that will take you through all those steps, which is awareness, consideration to decision. When we start out with our goals, we want to have our goals be very strategic. So we want to have them set up as SMART goals. And I know you guys have all heard about SMART goals before: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. I don't need to go through each one of these and break it down, because I think you all get that. But what I would like to do is I would like to give you some examples and explain to you how each one of these goals is a SMART goal. So if we look at the first one here, increasing brand awareness by 10% by the end of the year. This becomes a SMART goal because it is specific. I want to get brand awareness. It is achievable by 10% by the end. It's not like I'm saying I'm going to triple my brand awareness in 2 months. That's not achievable. It's realistic. And by the end of the year, makes it time bound. So this is how this is a SMART goal. Second example here, increasing sales of a specific product or program by 25% within 6 months. Again, very specific. Sales of a specific product or program by 25%. This is something that is measurable. Again, 6 months gives us time bound. And depending upon your product or your program, this could be achievable and realistic. Let's also say then the third one here. Let me walk you through. Increase new client consultation to 10 per month within 3 months. Depending upon your business, this could possibly be harder for you. So this could not be achievable. And if that was the case, then your goal needs to be new client consultations 3 per month, 2 per month. What I want you to look at these examples is for you to think about your goals like this. I want you to think about what is specific, what is measurable, what is achievable, what is realistic, and what is time bound. And I mean that from the perspective of, I feel like the perspective of your business and the way that you do work. Because for one client, it could be 10 new client consultations per month within 3 months. It's perfectly achievable and realistic. But it's also not achievable and realistic if you've never done this before. And this is your very first time doing this. That is not achievable and that is not realistic. So when we look at these goals like this is what I'm referring to about, it's not just about, oh, I want to make, X amount of dollars. We're talking about being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. This is how we set up our goals because we want to make sure that we can measure them. We want to make sure that we can actually have real numbers here that we can tell if these are being achieved. So you're following me here too, right? So when I think about goals, I always say that goals motivate us. They drive us, they push us, especially if these goals are set up from the basis of the deeper why. And here's a really good example of that. So let's say, one of my goals was that last one. I wanted to do 10 consultations in 3 months. So I'm going to be able to hit a certain amount of revenue. And so the deeper why is not just about, oh, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but the deeper why becomes, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money because that means I can increase the amount of money I pay myself. That means I could hire a VA to help me. That means I could find a way to improve my quality of life. It's going to let me move. It's going to let me, help my kids with college or whatever, that deeper why is. So that's why I keep going back to this. It's not just about the money. It's not just about how much we make. It becomes more than that, especially when we tap into that deeper why. And when we tap into that deeper why, that's when the goals really motivate us. That's when we really we feel the drive and we really feel that desire more than anything else to reach those goals. So how do you know when you're making progress toward reaching your goals? We do it through our metrics. We do it through our metrics. And that is why when I went through those examples earlier, I wanted you to see real numbers. By 25%, by 10%, 10, 3, or whatever your number is, you need to make sure that your goals are set up where we can measure them through metrics. And I've said this to you guys in several of the emails, and I'm going to repeat it again because this is so important about what we're talking about today. If your goals provide the direction and the path you're working towards, the metrics are the data points to give you the measurements to see that you're on the right track to achieving your goals. So the goals provide the direction and path, and the metrics give us the data points to make sure that we're on the right track. So this is why they matter, and this is why they are so connected to each other, because you can't just have a goal and never know if you're going to reach it. And you can't just be monitoring a whole bunch of numbers out there without knowing that you have a goal. And that's why the two of them work so well together, and that they're so very well connected, as well as, going on with what's going on in our body as well. So measuring is going to help you see what you're doing is working, know when to adjust your marketing strategy and how you should be adjusting it, know when you've achieved that goal, And one of the last things that I want to make sure that I add into this, because the thing about goals and metrics are we want to, a lot of the things that we do are really, really hard to measure. So a lot of times these metrics can come in and help us deliver some way of measurement that we could, move forward and say, this is working or this is not working. And what do I need to do to fix it and to change it? So it's really, really important that we are able to think about it, the goals and metrics, and how they both of them really, really work so closely together. And monitoring the right metrics help you determine if you are taking the right action steps to hit your goal within the timeline that you defined. Going back to our SMART goals, we want to make sure that they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. We pay attention to these metrics, and all of these things allow us to make an action plan and make informed decisions moving forward. And that is the reason why the two of these work so well together. So let's go back to our goal ideas and what to measure. So if I go back to my first one, where I talked about increasing brand awareness by 10% by the end of the year, certain things that we would measure are keyword searches. We could measure our social media site impressions and reach numbers, because that means that our brand, our business awareness is increasing and we are reaching more people. That is the goal behind brand awareness. It is to see how many people that we could reach with our content, with our website, with our emails, with our community and videos and all of those things. So that's how we do this. So we look at the goal and we think about, these are metrics that we could be looking at. Let's continue here. Increasing sales of a specific product or program by 25% within 6 months. That is one of the best SMART goals I think I've ever seen. It's very specific, it's measurable. I think it sounds like it's achievable and has a time bound. So the metrics that we would be looking at for something like this is we would look at, obviously, total purchases. Because of a specific product or program, we were looking for sales. But other things that we would be looking at are the sales, the landing page traffic. We could check our Google Analytics from our site. We could look at clicks from our email sales. And let's say we are looking at our Google Analytics and we see all these sales page, landing page traffic, but we're not converting. So we're able to tell by our metrics, well, whatever it is that we are doing to encourage people to come to our sales page, why are they not converting? So there's a good chance what we can do from these metrics and say, okay, so we're doing really, really good job of bringing people to the website, but when they get to the website, they're not converting. So it's happening right here on the website. So it's the images maybe we're using, it's the copy that we're using. It's maybe the process to sign up is too difficult. And so when we look at these kinds of metrics, we're able to say, okay, now we understand what happened with the purchases. Now we can tell, if we look at these in the first month and we realize that the sales page and the landing page is not converting, and we have 6 months with our goal to get this done, we know within the first month, if it's not working, then we're going to, let's try that first month and let's change the copy. So we change the copy, and then the second month we come back and we can see we're making more purchases. We've increased the number of people that are landing there, and now we're converting. So we know at that point what the problem was the copy. So that's what metrics help us do. Metrics help us do more than just vanity numbers of, how many followers do I have, and how come I only have 300 followers and she's got 300,000 followers. That's not what metrics is about. Metrics is here to help us grow our businesses and do better and be more. So I want you to think about it from that perspective. Let's talk a little bit more about this client consultation. Again, client consultation at 10 per month within 3 months. If that's too much, it could be 3 per month, 2 per month, or whatever works for your business. So our metrics that we would study is our client inquiries, how many discovery calls that we completed. Is there a landing page for people to sign up for calls? We could track the people who are going to the landing page and why are they not signing up for the calls. Again, there's another conversion situation. where we could say, okay, what's going on? Is it too confusing? Do people not understand this? We could look at our discovery call process. Is our discovery call process working enough that after we get done with the process, are we able to convert them into a client? Maybe it's our discovery call process, because maybe we are getting people to sign up for the calls. Maybe the inquiries are increasing, but we're not converting from the sales, from the discovery. So we're able to look at each of these little pieces that would come into play with a client consultation. And if we think about it from that perspective, then we could say, okay, so it's my discovery calls that's causing the problem. What can we do to fix the discovery calls? And then we can then measure it the next month if we've made our changes and continue on and move forward from that way. Again, metrics are here to provide the data to make sure that we are moving down the path to our goals that we're hoping to achieve. And that is the whole point behind goals and metrics, and why the two of them work so well together. And I get it. Because when you first start doing this and you're not really sure, it does feel like a whole bunch of guesswork. It feels like, oh, I don't know if I'm hitting my goals or if I'm like 1,000 miles away from it. But the more you do this process and the more you check on yourself and the more you run your numbers and you can see what's going on, the better you become at setting growth targets. And when you set these really good growth targets, that's when you're really able to start moving forward and reaching these really, really big goals that you're going to have for your business. So I want you to think about it from that perspective. Okay, so let's take a break here. A little water. Thank you so much. All right. And yes, we've got our next co-work content creation workshop. This one's next week. I just have one space available for it. We are going to be doing this on September 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So if you are interested in signing up and joining us, one space is available left to work through this with us. The sign up is at bit.ly/co-work content. All right, I'll get into that later, but let's right now keep going through this. And as always, I like to have a creative thinking exercise. And when I talk about creativity, it's not just about painting or writing a book or being an artist or anything. I want you to spend some time thinking about a way that you can tap into that right side of your brain, that you can spend some time actually really developing these ideas about goals and metrics. And one of the best things that I can tell you about is this little thing called taking a trip down the rabbit hole. And this is really, really cool. This is like a really, really cool exercise. And I hope you all do this. Because this actually, even though it doesn't sound like it right now, but when I get down to the end of this, you're going to see how it all makes more sense. It really, really does help you with your creativity, especially when it comes to your content ideas. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a trip down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. Go down to Wikipedia, look up something that interests you, and see where your curiosity and the web links takes you down this path of discovery. I always use this example. Like, you start with something like blueberry cobbler, and you click on the links and you could find yourself in a destination like celebrity's favorite fruit, right? And here's the part that's really fascinating, especially when it comes to our brain. It's amazing to see how things that you initially thought were unrelated become weirdly connected. And that's that part of your brain that starts, the wheels and the gears start churning. And you're like, okay, so I can jump from this to jump from this. And it leads your brain into something called creative problem solving mode. Doing this exercise starts having your brain connect things that aren't normally connected. And so when we think about something like, okay, I want to do a video series about something, I don't know what to do. Well, if you sit there and you move through this process, what you've done is you've started your brain tuning into creative problem solving mode. And so this little exercise here, even if you just did it for like 15 minutes, would stimulate that right side of your brain. And it's going to start helping you think about things that you might not have immediately connected to your initial question, especially about your content challenges. So it's really fascinating. It allows the neurons in your brain to make these new connections, like I was talking about, logical thought patterns to work on. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep moving forward. My tongue is getting all twisted up here. So spend a little time running a search on something that interests you, even if it's for like 15 minutes. I would love to, and I would love to hear back if anybody does this, to hear back from you where you went, where you ended up, and what happened when you just kept clicking links. And what happened also that when you had some sort of content challenge in your brain, what came out of that? When your brain starts to get into this creative problem solving mode. It is fascinating. It's one of those moments where you think, oh no, that's just like the weirdest thing ever. I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff that I always talk about is like, yeah, the weirdest thing ever, but it's so weird that it works. This is such a weird thing that it works. I wanted to share this one with you, and I wanted to let you know. Also to remind you, still got a space available for the co-working creation workshop. So let's jump into this right now. What should you be measuring? Okay, now it's really important before I get into this. There are a ton, that's the scientific word, a ton of things you can be measuring. I really narrowed this down to a lot of social media marketing stuff, since most of us are really utilizing some social media marketing. But there are other things based on your business. And I say that, let's go back to my examples when I talked about, looking at your landing pages, talking about looking at your discovery calls, talking about looking at, people clicking through on your email links. So these are also things that you could be monitoring as well. So I'm going to go through these metrics, and then I'm going to touch on a little thing that I do every single month. As a matter of fact, I just did this morning, where I run a report for myself about what's going on with my business. So I'm able to track every single month. I do this so that I can track where I am with my goals, where I am with the metrics, and what I need to be focusing on and what I need to be working towards. So we talk about social media metrics, data points. These are data points about your marketing strategy. And that's why I'm telling you that social media metrics is not about just looking at the number of followers that you have and then comparing them to somebody else who's doing the same thing that you're doing. Why does she have more followers than me? Why do they have more engagement? Blah, blah, blah. This is not about that. That's what they call vanity metrics. And that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about real metrics that you can see how many people are engaging with your content. And you can use these numbers all the way through how much money that you are making, by how many people signed up to your discovery calls, how many people are clicking on these links, how many people hit that buy here button, all of that kind of stuff. So let's walk through all these things that you could be tracking. I said should be, but you should be, or could be tracking every single month to help you with your marketing content. The first thing I want to talk about is the number of reach. Reach is different from impressions. So let's talk about reach. The number of people who see your content is reach. And you can look at almost every single platform, and their insights and their analytics will give you post-specific reach. You can see the reach on each post. You can see an overall reach. You can run a reach for like the last 30 days, what's going on videos, on stories, on posts. You can see all of this kind of information. And this is about the number of people who are seeing your content. And one of the things that's really fascinating about this, especially this particular metric, is that a lot of the platforms will give you a difference between followers versus people who are not following you directly. So if you are seeing a lot of people who are non-followers seeing your content, that means that your content is being shared, or it's actually doing really, really well in the algorithm. Like maybe you're using a great hashtag and it's getting picked up by that. Maybe your content is something that is trending at this moment. So that's something that everybody is really interested in. And so people who are not already following you, people who are not already in your community, are finding your content. So it's increasing your reach number because you're reaching people who are outside your immediate community of followers. So a lot of times I believe, I think that Facebook has non-followers versus followers type of information, but all the rest of them have some sort of breakdown too, where you can see this information, which is so super cool. So we talk about reach, and reach is different from impressions. Two different numbers. And you'll see that in the platform too. You can see a lot of them will give you a reach number, and then they give you an impression number. And the impressions is the number of times that people saw your content. So reach is the number of people, and generally your impression number is going to almost always be higher because the same person could look at the content more than once. So I might be able to say, oh, that's a really great post. And then later on, I want to go back to it because I wanted to comment on it, but I didn't have a chance to comment on it. So now I've seen it twice. So that's a number of times. So it's one person, but I've seen it twice. So now I've increased the impressions by me looking at it twice. So it doesn't mean more people always are looking at it, but people are looking at it more times. So those are the two different things that we want to talk about here too. And when you want to think about this, why is this specific one working so well? Why is this content, getting higher impressions than something else? That's when you start wanting to look at your headline, your hashtags, your keywords that you're using in there. Sometimes it could even been the image. Do a little research. And if you're really not sure about why it worked, do something called A/B testing. And A/B testing is just taking one little factor out and testing it. So if you've got this really, really great post, keep exactly the same. Keep the content, keep the headline the same, change out the image and see if the impressions change. If the impressions go down, then it was the image. If the impressions, go up or they stay flat, then it wasn't the image. Then change out the copy. See what happens when you change out the copy and use the same image. See if something like that will happen. And sometimes when you start kind of testing things, doing A/B testing, you start to get a feel at that moment about what's working and what's not working. I do this all the time with Pinterest. When I am creating Pinterest pins, I'll start out with a design and a template, and I will, test out a couple of templates to see which ones are working. And I will use the same exact copy, the same exact link, the same exact hashtags, and I will just test out the different images. And I can go back and I can see which pins did better by their impressions, how many people are seeing it more frequently than the other ones. And when I find a design template that is working and is increasing my impressions, I will then make sure that with every blog post that I write, with every pin that I make, I want to make sure that I use that template. But I didn't know about that template until I started A/B testing them. So that's what I mean by doing a little digging into it. And you don't know this until you start to look around and you start to get real numbers. And that's how I've discovered a couple of templates that I really like the look at them. And I like the clean, the layout of it, but I didn't know that these were the ones that were going to be so successful until I started testing all of them out. So that's what I mean by doing a little bit digging and understanding about why something's working and giving you more impressions than the other thing. Another metric that you could start looking at is your engagement rate. This is the number of engagements, and engagements gets lumped into reactions, comments, shares, all of that gets added into our engagement rate. So even if somebody just hit the like button, or if they just put in a comment, totally agree, or they hit the share button, all of those things get factored into this engagement rate. And those things give us more details. And like I said, one of the greatest things about specific platforms, every platform I think does this, you get very post specific info to give you more insights. And I love this. And what I love about this is I can see which posts are really, really working. I can see which posts are getting the best engagement. And I do this again. I do this again on LinkedIn. One of my clients, I manage their LinkedIn company page. And so one of the things that I do with their LinkedIn company page is I have their copy, which is approved by the client, and I use their copy, but then I change out different images and I see which one is working better. And I can tell which one is going to be the best one by the impressions, by the engagement rate, by the people that are sharing my post, by the people who are liking it. And what I find fascinating is more than half the time, it's the same exact copy. It's the same headlines. It's the same hashtags, but just something as simple as changing out an image with, with a little girl's face on it, or something that, like a family or something like that, that becomes more emotionally connected to people and resonating versus just something about the business itself. Those are doing much better. And so I realize that my engagement rate on this LinkedIn company page does better when I create posts in a certain way. But I didn't know that until I started checking my metrics. And my metrics let me know what was working and what was not working with this LinkedIn company page. Another thing that you want to track are videos. And this is not just, well, I don't do YouTube and I don't have a YouTube channel. Video is everywhere. So you can track your videos, stories on Facebook, stories on Instagram, TikTok, obviously YouTube. If you're running videos on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, I still call it Twitter. And LinkedIn has videos too. So all of these platforms, you don't necessarily have to have a YouTube channel to pay attention to what's going on with videos. You can be tracking your videos. And the thing about video views, and you want to make sure you pay attention to each platform, because each platform views a view. Some of them are like a few seconds is a view. Some of them need to go 10 seconds. Some of them need to go 15 seconds. They need to go a little bit longer. So you want to double check and to make sure which platform you're looking at, what they actually consider is a view. Is it just a couple of seconds? Is it 10 seconds? Is it 15 seconds? Because you want to know that somebody didn't just click on it and click right back off, that they actually sat there and they listened and they heard some of the things that you were talking about. So you want to pay attention to whatever platform that you're on and what that network determines as a view, because everybody does it differently. So there's not one number that I can give you. I can't just say, okay, everything for 5 seconds is a view, because everybody's different than that. So you definitely want to check that information when it comes to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all of that stuff. And another metric that is connected to the video views is your video completion rate. Basically, how many people watch your videos until the very, very, very end. So the video completion rate is something that they watch from the start to the finish. So the view is just those first few seconds or first 10 seconds or whatever it is when people are watching it. But we want to make sure that they're going all the way to the end. And if you can get them all the way to the end, that is a good way that you can tell that you are creating really, really good content, that people are paying attention to you, and you can say, oh, this is a great one. So people went, my video completion rate was all the way to the end on this one. So this is a good video. This was good content. What was it about that? Let's do some research about it. Let's figure out why it was so sticky. Why did people want to see it to the end? And you can understand how you can duplicate what it is that's working so well with this video completion rate. Another metric to check is something called click-through rates. This is how often a person clicks a link to your post to get additional content. So maybe they're clicking a link to go to a blog post, or clicking the link to go to the online store, or clicking a link to sign up for something, for your email, to download something. So the click-through rate is a great number to check. And that is something that you're going to really determine based on what your goal is. You know, going all the way back to what we talked about before with the SMART goals, we think about our click-through rate of converting. How did I get somebody from here to here to here? And so that's what we're doing with our click-through rate. And it's a good indicator that's going to tell us, was our content not engaging, what's the word I'm looking for? Compelling enough that created somebody to leave the social platform to move over to our website? Was it strong enough to get them to move off of this platform to get onto our email list to download something for free? So this is great information to know that people, what is it that's creating people to take action? That is a great way to look at click-through rate. People are taking action. What is it that I have here right now that's causing people to take action? So that's what your click-through rate is really basically I'm showing you how to get through that. Sorry, I'm like thirsty today. Dry throat, I think it is. Okay. So what else to track? As I said to you before, every month, and I did mine this morning, every month I do a recap to measure my progress. And I like to go through this every single month to see what's working, to see what's tweaking, to see what I need to be focusing on a little bit more. So basically what I ended up doing was, because I couldn't find anything that was exactly what I wanted, I just made my own printable. And so every month I print this thing out, and I love it because basically what it does is it gives me a list of all of the marketing that I'm working through. And then I have a column which gives me measurable numbers. And then I have another column that I go, what happened? What happened to create these numbers? Did something go up? Did something go down? What happened? Because I always like to put notes in there to see what was going on, because it's fresh in my mind because it just happened that month. And when I can go back and I can compare where I was 6 months ago to where I am right now, I can see if my numbers went up or down. Did something happen here? Did this, like when Google Analytics has changed over into this new layout, that affected my numbers too, because I had to get everything set up. So I had those notes in there. The Google Analytics algorithm changed. And so I know when the algorithm changed and when it affected my numbers. So I always give myself a space to put some notes about what happened and what didn't happen. And my monthly metrics are basically, I'm checking on YouTube. I'm looking at my Pinterest. I am still looking at seeing what's going on with Instagram. I am also measuring my email subscribers. I look at how many people are opening my emails. I look at how many people are clicking on my emails. And the other thing that I do is I look at my website page views, and I look at the top landing pages. And I mean the top landing pages, meaning where's the first place that they got to. I don't look at it from the perspective of the top pages in that I guess more, yeah, I think it's the top pages, but it's the top landing pages. I want to know if they clicked over from a post. Did they click over from a Pinterest pin? Did they click over from my email? Where did they land? Where's the first place that they're going to? Because most of them aren't really coming to me from my homepage. Most of them are coming to me from other places within the website. And so I like to figure out what's going on with my landing page, because, and I'll give you a really good example about why this is important. So one of my goals this year has been growing my email list. So when I was running my metrics and I discovered that I have got this blog post that is doing so well. It always has done really, really, really well. It generates so much traffic. It generates traffic because it's organically keyworded. So people are finding me from organic. It also does really, really well on Pinterest. So these are really, this is already driving traffic to my website. And when I noticed these numbers growing and not decreasing, I made the decision to create a content upgrade, which is very specific to that blog post And the only way that you can get this content upgrade is on that blog post page. And so one of the things that I did was I created a content upgrade, which will bring you into my email list. So I am taking advantage of the fact that I've already got people who are coming to my landing page, who are coming to that blog post. And now I've created a content upgrade to get people to take action to get onto my email list. So this is one of the things that I learned from my metrics, is to take advantage of the fact that the landing page was already generating traffic. So how can I take that traffic and convert it into something to help me grow my email list? So it's a perfect example of how paying attention to our metrics and what's going on and how we can help reach our goals. If one of my goals is to grow my email list, which it is, looked at the metric of my landing pages and made the decision to create the content upgrade to grow my email list. So you can see how these two things get connected there. So when we talk about tracking things, it's more than just, looking at, like I said earlier, vanity numbers. I want you to think about what's relevant to the success of your company. What's relevant to the success of your business, because those are the numbers that matter. Some of those metrics that I just mentioned with regards to social media may not even be relevant to your business. And maybe one or two of them, maybe reaches, maybe video completion rate is, and that's it. And the rest of them, you can just kind of come or go, but you've got 3 or 4 other things that you're measuring. And so I want you to think about it from that perspective. As I always say, there's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's just your way. And this list of metrics that I give you is just a place to start. It's just a way to start thinking about a goal and how numbers can help you see if you're reaching your goal or if you're struggling with the goal, and for you to take an opportunity to take a step back and to say, these are real numbers and this is real information here to show me what's working and where I should be focusing on to improve it. So we could look at it from that perspective too. So I know, Kate, you're here with me today, and I can wrap this up right now and be on a call with you, just you in a few minutes. But let me wrap it up and say thank you so much again, everybody, for joining me, especially those of you who are watching on the replay. I love seeing your messages, and I love it when you message me later and tell me about something that I've shared with you in these workshops that really helped you out. So feel free to watch this on the replay and then let me know, what numbers did you look at? Was there a goal that actually you were able to define as a SMART goal? Was there something that really resonated within this workshop that you tried? Did you go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole and find out something really, really cool? Please, please let me know, let me know, let me know. I love to hear from all of you. And thank you again for joining me today. I love it when like I say, I love it when you guys are messaging me. It's the best thing ever. So thank you so much. And I look forward to talking with you all again.